Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. So on this video, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful long sleeve with cuff. So if you want to learn how to make a long sleeve with cuff, keep watching this video. Alright, so this is my sleeve. I already cut this, you all saw that. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and make a stitch. I'm going to use 1 inch seam allowance because that's what I added. So you are going to use however seam allowance you added for yours. So I'm going to make a stitch on the second sleeve as well, okay? And for the sleeve, this is the cuff. I'm going to also fold this cuff into 2, then I'll take it to the sewing machine. I'll stitch on this point like this, and I'll stitch on this like this as well, then I'll turn it inside out. Just in case you're wondering how I cut this, you're seeing my video for the first time, I'm going to link the video where I cut this in the description, okay? So I am sewing the cuff first of all. I'm stitching the side on 1/2 inch seam allowance that we added, and I'm going to trim that out and I'm going to turn it inside out. So I'm going to use my scissors to push out the corners of this cuff so that it will be pointy exactly the way it's supposed to be. So after that, I'm just trying it on to see. As you can see, it fits perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the second cuff. Alright, after that, I'll trim the seam allowance as well, and I'm going to turn it inside out and also use my scissors to push the edges out just the way I'm doing here. So after doing that, I'm going over to the sleeve. I'm going to stitch the sleeve on the seam allowance I added. When I got to the elbow line, I made my stitch. I took the measurement and then I marked that. On the wrist line, you would want to add about 1/2 inch seam, 1/2 inch ease allowance to your wrist measurement to give that a little bit of ease. And you can as well do that on your elbow line so that you will be able to fold your hand freely when you wear your shirt, okay? So I'm just stitching on the seam allowance, adding extra 1/2 inch for ease on the elbow line as well as the wrist line of my cuff, of my sleeve. And after doing that, this is what I have. I turned the sleeve out and I gave it a good press. And for the cuff as well, I gave it a good press also. As you can see, it's already looking very beautiful and gorgeous. Alright, so moving on, I'm going to grab the sleeve, okay? And on the inner side of the sleeve, I'm going to measure about 4 inches. You can measure between 3 inches to 4 inches or even 2 inches depending on how much marking you want on the inner side. So I measured that and then I marked it, and I'm going to cut out that place. I'm going to slit that place open, as you can see. Alright, so I'm going to do the same to the second sleeve. I'm just on the inner side, I'm going to measure 4 inches again on the center of the wrist side or a little bit closer to the hemline. Alright, so I marked 4 inches, I made that into a straight line and then I slit it open just like this. Alright, so this is what I have, and my cuff is going to be going around the wrist just like this. Okay. Alright. So what I want to do next is to cut out a pieces with the same fabric, and I'm going to use the pieces to turn that opening I made. I'm going to use it to turn it in. So as you can see, this is the pieces I made for myself about 1 inch piece. Alright, and I'm going to use that to turn that opening I made on the sleeve, okay? So I'm just going to attach that to the sleeve like so, just the way I'm doing here. You can use a bias tape if you don't want to use the same fabric. You can use a matching bias tape to turn this inside out if that is what you want. Okay, so I'm just attaching it to the opening I made, and after that, this is what I have. Okay, so I'm going to turn the sleeve wrong side out, and I'm going to fold the pieces once and fold it twice to conceal the raw edge, and then I'm going to make a stitch on it like so. Alright, so what I'm just trying to do is to turn out the slits that I made on the sleeve. Okay, so after doing that, remember to cut out your threads, and I'm going to turn this right side out again. Alright, so after doing that, this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and place the cuff right side facing the right side of the sleeve, and I'm going to make half an inch stitch on that point. So I'm attaching the cuff to the sleeve now using half an inch seam allowance that I added for that purpose. Okay, so don't forget to back stitch at the beginning of your seam and at the end of your seam to keep your seam in place. Cut your threads so your work will be neat. So after doing that, this is what I have for the cuff. It has been attached to the sleeve. So this is what I have. I'm going to turn this, I'm going to set this aside and do the second sleeve. So I placed the cuff right side facing the sleeve again, and I'm also going to stitch on half an inch seam allowance. All right. Alright, so after stitching it, I went ahead and I ironed my sleeve out, and this is what I have. Isn't this beautiful? It's very, very beautiful. I love the outcome of this shirt, of this sleeve. I really do like it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel already and you've watched this video this far, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Okay, all right. So after attaching it to the dress, this is what I have. So this is the point where I'm going to either attach a cuffling or a button or even a press button to that sleeve. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to do that. So this is the 4 inches I went down with, and you see how neat it is after I turned it with that pieces I cut. So this is it on how to make a long sleeve with cuff. Thank you so much for watching this video. Until I see you in my next video, bye.